All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the first part of the 200th episode of Strictly Hip Hop and Strictly Hoop Talk. As always, I'm your host Chris Platte, and for this first ever crossover episode, between Strictly Hip Hop and Strictly Hoop Talk, we're gonna get into both sides. And joining me is my man Ken from Dead End Hip Hop. Ken, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm doing good, bro. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man, and it's a dream come true to have you on this 200th episode here. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get to it.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Me too, bro.
All right, so this one is going to be a fun little segment here, and this is hip hop and NBA super teams. So as you know, Ken, I know you follow basketball just as much as hip hop like I do. And this summer we saw a lot of player movements, a lot of teaming up. You know, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Nets, not the Knicks, like all sorts of player movement around the NBA. So that got me thinking, what are some hip hop and NBA super teams? What is a hip hop team and what is their NBA counterpart? So I got one that I'll kick it off with and then I'll toss it to you. And this is the very first one I thought of is I see Death Row as Golden State. Why? Because they were an already great record label, and then you added Kevin Durant, just like how Death Row added Tupac, and it took them to the next level again. So just fun little comparisons like that. What do you think of that comparison?
Yeah, I think that's pretty apropos. I think it fits. Um, what, given what KD was solo and what he added to Death Row when he came on board because they already had Snoop. We already know about Dr. Dre, so they were already pretty much a powerhouse. So he just brought and added more fuel to the fire. So I think that works.
Yeah, it made them a little bit of an overkill, didn't it?
Hmm.
All right. What's one you got? It can be a duo, a trio, just any type of group. You can compare it. You can go anywhere with this. You can do hip hop labels. Just two superstar rappers or two underground rappers. However you want to do it. Rapper producer. What's some comparisons?
You know what? I'll go with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, and I would say their counterparts are Run the Jewels,
Hmm.
Killer Mike, and LP. And both, as we have seen, are great individually, are great solo, um, but when you put them together, they are a force to be reckoned with. And they didn't win a title together, but in terms of their play and what they were able to do, they were awesome. And both are MVPs. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook are both MVPs. So yeah, I would say that they would be Run the Jewels. Great solo, but together are a force to be reckoned with.
I really like that because that wasn't one that I had on my list. But to keep with the duo theme, I had is one of them I have is Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady. We all know they're cousins, probably the most talented cousins in the history of the NBA. And my comparison for them is Dr. Dre and Warren G, who Warren G was his stepbrother. They're both from Compton, and Dr. Dre I see as Vince Carter, the guy who had a sustained, long, excellent career, and then I see Warren G as Tracy McGrady, the guy who had a great run in his time, and with all the big time records like Regulate. I mean, he was just a big West Coast name, but obviously didn't have the longevity of the Dr. Dre.
Mm, okay. I'll go with. Mm, I'm trying to figure out who to compare this duo with. So I got Outkast. That's the hip hop
Okay,
duo.
okay.
Um, LeBron is Andre 3000. So who's the Kyrie Irving? Kyrie Irving to be big boy.
Mm. All right. I care to elaborate on that? Why is Big Boy? Why is Big Boy Kyrie?
Um, I think Big Boy is he's really a great rapper, and I think
Hmm.
when you look at the duo, I think he doesn't get enough credit or respect for his contributions to their success. And because you know, solo, I mean, he's been okay. With Outkast, we already know he's like, well, not Outkast. With Andre 3000, people already is like putting him up there in the top tier rappers, like the GOAT.
Right.
But I think as a duo, as a tandem, they work really, really, really well together. And unfortunately, they just weren't able to continue to make music and make magic that we wanted to hear. Like they had a run, and the run was great, but then the run was over,
Right.
and they separated for different reasons. But when they were together, we had magic, and LeBron did a lot of heavy lifting. No disrespect to Big Boy. But Kyrie is known for the shot, and he was a perfect complementary piece to what LeBron did on the court.
Wow, that's a great analogy. I really really like that one because that was one I wasn't thinking of. Just from both, I thought about Outcast for a little bit, but I couldn't quite find one. So I have kind of a list of maybes, and we'll do that in a second after I get to my last one that I have, and that is you spoke of LeBron, so I'll bring this one up. I see the Miami Heat, that LeBron Wade Bosh era, as YMCB. Birdman is Pat Riley, Lil Wayne is Dwayne Wade, Drake is LeBron, and Nicki is Chris Bosh. All absolute superstars teaming up. Pretty much Wayne was at the tail end of his prime. Drake is obviously being built up. He's a young rising star, and Nicki is Chris Bosh, obviously, because no disrespect to her, but she's definitely the third biggest of the three. And YMC, I see Birdman as Pat Riley as kind of like the architect that kind of brought it all together.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, I can go with that.
All right, cool.
Um, hmm, trying to think of a good trio, but yeah, I like that.
I got a couple maybes if you want to dive into some of those. Just ones that I haven't figured out that maybe we could try and speculate and figure out ourselves here on air.
okay.
All right. Uh, who I tried to think of this for a while, but who is Jay Z and Kanye? What is that watch the throne? Is it the Kobe and Shaq just like two mega stars or that split up? Like I don't really know what to do with that because it just there doesn't seem to be like a kind of equal comparison. Because Jay obviously both are mega stars and they only came together briefly, for one album, but I don't know, and they didn't have quite the riff that Kobe and Shaq had. It's definitely not as deep as that, but I'm struggling to find something with those two.
I think that could work though. I think if we just leave out like their beef, even though they've
Right.
had beef before, Kanye and Jay, but if we just take that away and just go with like their pure talent
Yeah.
and what they were able to do together and what they were able to do solo, I
Hmm.
think it actually fit. I was gonna be, have a little fun and say they were DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. But but yeah, I like that. I like Kobe and Shaq. I think that kind of fits. Yeah, I think
Okay.
that kind of fits.
Cool.
Um,
Do you
hmm.
ha- do you have a good one for maybe like Kendrick and J. Cole? Something interesting about I can't think of one for them either.
Yeah, because there Kendrick and J. Cole, even though they're not an official duo, I would say they could be. Oh wait, we gotta compare them to a basketball. Hold on. Kendrick, J. Cole in basketball. Uh, nah, I ain't gonna do the man like that. I was thinking Elijah Wan and Clyde Drexler.
Okay, I think I know who's who in that scenario.
Yeah, Elijah White, Kendrick, and
Yeah,
Drexler is. But look, Drexler was a baller. I mean, he
he
went toe to
was.
toe with Michael Jordan. You
He
know,
was.
and people that don't know basketball, they may think that's somewhat disrespectful, but you know, I think they took him six, and Drexler was the man, like in
He would have been the
basketball.
guy. He would have been the guy if
Yeah,
Jordan wasn't around.
yeah. So I don't, you know, that's kind of like it may sound disrespectful, but it's really not as disrespectful as it sounds. You know, Elijah Wan
Yeah.
was that dude. You know,
All right. I really like that. I really like that. Um, do you have one that you want to throw out there and see what we can think of?
um, yeah. So I got Method Man and Redman,
Okay.
um, Eight Ball and MJG, UGK, like duos, man. Mob Deep. You know, who are the Clips? Who would they be?
Ooh, the
Um,
clips. Ooh,
yeah,
that's a good one. That's a good one because because they have two totally different careers. You know, obviously they have their big moment together, but whew, damn, the clips. That's a really good one. I haven't thought about that. Do you have any ideas? Did you have any that you kind of thought of, but you felt like maybe that you weren't sure if they worked?
let's see. So the Clips. Who could we do? So Pusha T is obviously a beast.
Yeah.
Then old boy kind of left. Um,
I feel like not to be lazy and use one we already used, but I think the Vince Carter and T Mac kind of applies here. The whole family relation plus one had a much longer longevity than the other, but the other also had a great peak as well.
what about Vince Carter, Jason Kidd? I mean, when they were together, they had great chemistry. Both played
Yeah.
and I think they played in the finals. You know, uh, Jason Kidd was, you know, that guy that was kind of a jack of all trades. You know, he assists, he rebound, like, you know, he got in where he fit in. And Vince Carter, you know, was obviously really electric, high flyer, was a superstar. So, you know, Carter could be Pusha T and Malice could be Jason Kidd.
I like that. I like that because Malice did do a lot of the. He was very involved in. Not that Pusha T wasn't obviously, but Malice was kind of almost like an orchestrator at times, right? When it came to the clips and how their music came about and was developed. So
Hmm.
I like that. That works. Um, One that I thought was tough that I couldn't think of was TDE because you have Kendrick who's this superstar, but you have like a very talented group after that with obviously SZA who's also I'd say a superstar, but that's more the R&B realm, but she's hip hop adjacent, so we can bring her into this. But then you also
Hmm.
got bona fide beasts like J Rock, Q, and Isaiah Rashad. So it's like it's kind of tough. It's kind of tough for them to put together a team because I mean, what team's really that stacked? You know, I hate to be a TDE homer. I know that's one of the things I get labeled as, but I mean, seriously though, I mean, what's a team that's as stacked as TDE comparatively in basketball?
In basketball. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Almost knocked my damn iPad over. Um, in basketball, TD. So it's four of them.
Let's see, Kendrick, SZA if we want to count her. If we don't, do we want to count SZA or no?
Nah.
Okay, so Kendrick, J Rock, Schoolboy Q, Isaiah Rashad, Absol. So five.
Uh, Showtime. The Showtime Lakers.
Okay, okay, that's okay. I like that. I like that.
Yep,
So
I think that's
you
a
have
good fit.
Kendrick as Magic. You have what? Schoolboy Q or J Rock? Which one is Kareem? Got to be J Rock because J Rock's been around a minute and Kareem was old as hell on the Showtime Lakers.
All right, I'll go with
All right.
that.
we got Schoolboy Q's James Worthy. Uh, okay. Byron. Who else was on that squad? Byron Scott and Michael Cooper, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, you can kind of interchange Absol and Michael, and like I guess Absol and Isaiah Rashad really, considering neither of them really put out music anymore.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. I really like that. Do you got one for my hometown '04 Pistons, which hold a very sentimental place in my heart because they're a team of no superstars but a bunch of great players coming together. I, what's a label? What's a label like that without any star, but has like 4 or 5 really talented acts that you wouldn't deem a star?
Mellow Music Group. People don't know them, but always consistent, always deliver, and just they kind of blue collar.
Okay,
That's one.
I like that.
Uh, we could go with what is that label? It's underground, but they had a lot of dope stuff. Um, B just walked in. B, question for you, brother. I'm on the line with Chris Platte, and he's comparing basketball players to hip hop duos, trios, labels to teams, et cetera, et cetera. So he just asked, what is the basketball or no, what is the hip hop equivalent for the Detroit Pistons team that won those titles? Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups, Ben Wallace. Stones throw.
Hmm.
Stones throw. Yep. Yep. Top quality, consistent. They'll never let you down. They show up to work every day.
Okay, okay. I thought you guys were gonna say Griselda.
You had probably two of the most acclaimed albums ever in MF Doom, Mad Ability, and J Dilla Donuts.
Yep. There you go. Two classics. Two
Okay,
titles. Mad
I'm
Ability
I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling
and
with it because
Donuts.
we all know. Hold on, BZ's here. BZ can confirm. That Pistons squad should have 2 titles, not one, right? The Spurs
He
robbed
said,
us blind
why do I think they got two?
because they were supposed to have two until Robert Ory hit that shot.
Okay. But
They
yeah,
made it all the way to the finals, and then Robert Ory hit that heartbreaker in Game 5. Oof, that was brutal. What else do we got here? Uh, I'm looking at my list over here. Do we got anyone for some of the new pairings like Kawhi and Paul George, LeBron and AD? Do we got any predictions of what we think their hip hop equivalent would be?
Kawhi and Paul George, I say they are the dog pound.
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. West Coast too.
That's,
Keeping it West Coast. I like it.
yep.
What about LeBron and AD? We got kind of like the mentor who's been there, who's won it all, and then the new guy who's obviously talented but hasn't gotten there yet.
Oh, wow. Huh. LeBron and AD.
Is there anyone? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Is there anyone in hip hop who's really kind of like an OG? I'm talking has taken somebody under their wing. I know like a not so good example of this because it obviously didn't work out was like Master P with Kodak last year, 2 years ago, something like that. Um, what else could we throw out there?
I don't think there's one.
Yeah,
Not in
man, the
that
OGs
particular
OGs need
scenario.
to work with these young people. That's a side note. Uh, okay. Do you got any other ones? Because if not, I got 2 more.
Let me Give me one while I'm trying to think of the equivalent for this duo.
Okay, so I'm walking this through. Who is the bad boys? The 89-90 bad boys, the team that everybody hated, but you had to respect them because they won. They went through Jordan. They built Jordan up to being who he was. Obviously they had their battles with the Celtics, and even though they only got two titles, I mean it was a span of 5 years where they were a tough team to play, and a team you didn't want to see. Who was that of the hip hop landscape? Somebody that kind of dramatically changed it in a way. It's a really tough one, but I don't really know what's a label that's comparative to it.
The Bad Boy Pistons to a hip hop label.
Might have to throw B on the line again.
What do you think, B?
I was just on them.
No, not the Chauncey Billups Pistons. We talking about Zeke and Joe Dumars, the Bad Boys.
The record label.
Yeah.
Yeah, or some equivalent in terms of hip hop.
I was thinking the Juice Crew during that era. Coogee Rap, Daddy Kane, Isaiah and Joe Dumars.
Yeah,
Biz Markie can be John Kane. Like,
Juice Crew.
Okay, I really like that. I really like that because that's a nice throwback, and okay. Definitely had the impact. Definitely changed hip hop forever. I like that. I'm rolling with that. Okay, so what were yours that you were thinking of? We'll try and think these through.
Well, that was one.
Okay.
But it was Zeke and Joe Dumars. But
Okay.
we can't get off the line. We definitely got to talk about Michael Jordan and Pippen. We got to find them.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of did, but I got Larry Bird and Kevin McHale, Beastie Boys. Beastie Boys, baby. It feels kind of racist.
Beastie
Beastie
Boys.
Boys are white though.
Oh man,
respect
that works though. We'll roll with it. Let's see.
Hip hop. So and
they wasn't more quickly. They wasn't taking shots at back then like how Eminem was taking shots at.
right, yeah, and Larry Bird and Kevin McHale,
You respect
them
You respect
black
them.
players in the league, man. They'll tell you, man. Kevin McHale, the
Yeah,
chamber, Larry Bird, they were cooking folks.
Yeah, man.
they were the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then what was the other one you had? The other one you had was
I mean, the obvious one we haven't talked about, Jordan
Michael.
and
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
mean, they could be
Jordan and Pippen.
Snoop and Dre or Big and Puffy, either or.
They could be Snoop and Dre or Big and
Yeah.
Either or. You can pick either one. Because both of them, they dominated in the 90s, which both Death Row and Bad Boy dominated in the 90s on both of their coasts. Put them in there easily.
Okay. I like that.
Snoop and Dre better because Dre did more, especially when they separated. I mean, Diddy still did things, but
Big passed away. Bad Boy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dre ended up making Aftermath and
hmm
got Eminem.
Pippen took that team to the ECF by himself. So yeah.
So is then that just sparked something. So is then LeBron and AD Puff and Biggie? LeBron trying to show AD the way?
that could work, but
I'm thinking of LeBron and AD for somebody, like current hip hop. I'm not using.
Yeah. But that's what we were talking about, BZ. Is it's hard to find somebody like who's an OG right now who's like mentoring somebody young, that's got that kind of promise.
Nobody really.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. We'll roll with Puffy and Big. Let's try and find one for you guys for Atlanta because I know we've been talking. I've been kind of hijacking it on my show. I know doing some Bad Boy Piston talk. I got the Piston hoodie on, so I had to do it. But what's some Atlanta comparisons? You got any for like the young Hawks team you guys got now that you'd like to make comparison to, or maybe the Dominique era? What are some Atlanta comparisons we want to do, and then we'll get out of here.
Who was Dominique rolling with though?
Well,
Doc Rivers,
I
Spud Webb.
was good. Kevin Willis.
He was.
Kevin Willis, yeah.
Stacey Arnold was post down.
Yeah, Platte, man.
Yeah, Steve Smith. Yeah, all them were post down. Oh man, I can't even. Yeah, Dominique was. It was either Kevin McHale or Doc Rivers. That you would add.
It was Kevin Willis.
I mean, yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, it was Dominique Wilkins and Kevin Willis.
Or Doc Rivers that time, depending on which year.
Yeah, so I just happened to look it up, and so they got them listed as a duo. So we can roll with that. Um,
What would be a good one for them?
you,
'Cause-
What's the UGK?
I was about to say UGK. I was about to say UGK.
A-Ball MJG?
A-Ball MGG could fit.
You know, boys.
is,
Unless you want to add Doc Rivers in, just say three of them.
If we add Doc Rivers, we can go with Ghetto Boy.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. Let me see if I can think of another one.
I'm trying to think of somebody for Method Man and Redman.
Oh yeah, we're still stuck on that one. Yeah, we gotta get that one before we close. Hold on, we gotta get that one.
Peyton?
Peyton and Kemp. Yeah, I did think about them.
Okay.
I'm trying to make the connection, but I think that could fit. Yeah, the Rain Man and
Yeah.
the Glove.
I like that. That was a pretty electric duo right there, man. That was a pretty electric duo, Method and Red.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I named them.
Went toe to toe with Jordan in the final. Yeah.
Yeah, and you put that duo album against any duo album we got, and it's up there. So
Yeah.
I like that.
So happened to go up against the 72 and 10 Bulls.
Yep.
I mean, so was en route to win a championship.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, I think we'll call it a wrap here. Thank you guys. Thank you, Ken, for coming on. Thank you, Beezy, for stopping by. I'm glad you actually came in on this too, because I was thinking as I was texting Ken about this, I was like, damn, I should have extended this to Beezy too, because I know this is his vein too. So I want to thank you guys for being obviously huge help and support with the podcast over these 200 episodes. And also I want to thank you guys for also your hospitality you had when I was in Atlanta. That was great. So thank you guys for everything that you do for me. I greatly appreciate it. And this road that I'm on and where I'm at now, it would not have been possible without you guys. So I want to thank you guys for that.
Yeah, no problem, man. We appreciate you too, brother.
All right. Thank you, Ken. I'll see you later, man.
Okay.
All right, Chris.
All right, see you, BZ. All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the 200th episode, the first ever crossover of Strictly Hip Hop and Strictly Hoop Talk. As always, I'm the host, Chris Platte, and for this segment, you know them as big-time contributors to my podcast, as well as I'm a big fan of theirs, and it is, for the first time in history, both of the On Deck guys are on the podcast, Spike Lou and Animal Brown. How you guys doing?
Hey, man, well, I'm good, man. Glad to be here, man. Congrats on 200, though. Believe that.
Big
Thank you,
congratulations on 200, Chris, man. You know I fuck with you heavy. Appreciate
Yeah.
you having us on.
Of course, man. Of course. You knew I couldn't do. Listen, this episode is supposed to be the story of and the journey of this podcast. So you know that story can't be told without On Deck. You know that.
That's a fact.
Much
So-
appreciated, man.
All right, so let's get into this segment. This segment is one I'm very fond of, and I think I'm going to enjoy greatly, and I hope you guys do as well. And that is, we all know the story of hoopers want to be rappers and rappers want to be hoopers. We know that crossover. We know that's why this podcast works over here at Strictly Hip Hop and Strictly Hoop Talk. So let's do it. We're gonna get 2 squads, so 5 squads like an all NBA team. We're gonna do rappers that are good at hooping, and then we're gonna do another one of NBA players who are good at rapping. So between the two, we each have our own teams. We're gonna compare them, and we're gonna kind of see what the lists are. So where do you guys want to start? Do you guys want to start with the hoopers or with the rappers?
Man, let's start with the hoopers, man. People won't see that coming. They know we talk rap all the time. We're going to flip the switch and start with the hoopers.
All right, so the hoopers. So I got a tall squad. That's why I love my squad.
Oh, man.
So I got Cameron 6'1" at point guard. This dude was receiving offers from big time schools back in the day. We know he's a hooper. I got my boy Davies. You knew I wasn't gonna not draft him. That's my boy. Hooped with KD and AAU, all that. I got the game because I've seen some footage of the game. The game is nice, 6'5" also. 2 Chainz also 6'5", got a nice game. And then to round it out, I got J. Cole, who is 6'4". So I got a squad of hoopers. I got the squad we could do all the shit the Golden State Warriors do. You know what I'm saying? Switch 1 through 5, all that technical stuff. And we got size. We could throw it on the block, or we could play from the perimeter. So what do you guys got as your squads?
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you what's funny. J. Cole out here putting out summer workout tapes. Like, he got the mellow workout tapes going on. Like, he trying to make a squad.
He looked like he's
His
ready to
better
go
than
to
Melo's.
the DL.
That's true.
DL, G League, excuse me.
Yeah. He trying to make a G League team, man, for the summer.
100%.
I got a squad, and we got a couple of similar ones, but I'm a little more small ball on my end. I've got Mace.
Oh, man.
Murder Mace.
Yeah, he knew.
I know. Got Cameron. So I got ball handlers. You understand what I'm saying? We're going to be small ball, and we're going to be shooting from the perimeter. I've also got Master P. Y'all know I want to go. He's the only rapper to play in the NBA, albeit preseason, but still a legendary fact. Then I've got Dave East and 2 Chainz as well. So we're going to play. This is the death lineup, man. This is the Golden State, again, to compare to the Warriors. This is the small ball lineup. Draymond is going to be, that's 2 Chainz. You know what I'm saying? So it's a small ball 5. But we got shooters and ball handlers. We're going to pick and roll. Nobody's going to be able to keep up. This squad is bananas, in my opinion. I'm blowing out anybody else's rap hoop squad on earth.
You guys,
we'll let the fans decide after. Spike, what do you got?
I 100% have the best team here. I'll start that off with G Herbo. If y'all seen him lately on his IG, he's been in the gym. He's ready to go to the league. So my first is G Herbo starting point. Now I'm going big at shooting guard. I got 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz, the only unanimous selection here. So shout out Hooper with him. I need an agitator on my team. I've seen some of the clips. I got Joe Budden here for the defense. Straight Ron Artest.
No.
I promise you, man. I got Joe here for the defense and rebounds. He Ron Artest. Who else? What's my man?
Rodman.
Yeah, Rodman. My man to play for the Matt Barnes. That's what Joe Budden bringing for me. I bring some more athleticism to the table with Quavo. Honcho can hoop.
Okay,
true.
And I want Slim Thug for some height. Pause. Put Slim Thug there, let him, handle y'all big man. So I feel like I got a nice starting 5: G Herbo, 2 Chainz, Joe Budden, Quavo, and Slim Thug.
It's a defensive-minded team.
Yeah, we Knicks. We the 99, 98 Knicks. we came to win with defense. We ain't going Golden State like you, Chris. We coming to win, defense.
First thing my squad's doing is babying Quavo. He's like 5'10".
That's true.
That's the first thing we're
Mouse
doing.
in the
We're
house.
calling ISOs. Who's he good at guard? The shortest person on my squad is 6'1".
Yeah, that's tough. And he
guard
need to get in the
Cameron.
weight room, too.
He can guard Cameron. Cameron out of shape. Cameron, no breath. You know what I'm saying? Like, he ain't just going to use the height or the being bigger than him. Quavo can guard Cameron.
That's funny, man. Quavo is okay. Obviously, when I say he's athletic, we're not talking.
Yeah, he ain't Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, he's not LeBron. But what I'm saying,
For a rapper.
for an average person, he's pretty athletic. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So he doesn't just look too crazy at the celebrity game. He kind of looked like he knew what he was doing a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Facts. Yeah, I like that. I like that.
I mean, if the Secretary of Education can ball at the celebrity game,
That's a good
I mean,
point.
I'm sure Quavo can.
Yeah,
I'm sure Quavo
this is
can.
true.
Arnie Duncan was putting up buckets.
He was.
He was the best player in the game.
Nah, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah, he was running it. But all right, everyone, let us know what you think below on our squads, our hoop squads. We'll post our squads in the link of the description, and you let us know. Comment below. Tag me at Real Chris Platte. Are you still Husky Vegan Animal Brown?
Oh, I'm Animal_Brown.
Oh, Animal_Brown.
Absolutely.
And Spike Lewis. I am Spike Lewis still, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, we'll have all of those in the graphics in the podcast when it uploads. But let's jump to the rapper side of things. Let's see now. A lot of NBA players have tried. Some famous, some not so famous have tried to rap. Some successful, some not so successful.
A lot of not successful.
So we recently saw this summer with Dame and Marvin Bagley trading shots. So it's picking up. These NBA players are really trying to get into the rap space. I'll go first with my rap squad. I think the first ballot, no questions asked on this squad is Dame. You have to put Dame in. He's probably the best song/album artist of any of the NBA players. And then I think the other lock for me is Shaq, because even if he can't rap well, we'll get him some ghostwriters, and that personality. Shaq's got a personality. He's got a charisma that we could roll with, and he's got a voice deep enough to make Rick Ross sound like JID.
That's true.
That's funny.
So those are my two locks, and then to round it out, I had Ron Artest because he was on the 2K5 soundtrack. That was my most played game in the history of video games.
Queensbridge.
So shout out Ron Artest. And Steven Jackson, the way he pops off on social media, I want him on my squad for any diss records.
Yeah.
And I got Chris Webber because he could rap and he did a little bit of production from what I hear. So, hey, he could be like the Dr. Dre of this squad. So I'm cool with it. What's your guys' squad?
I am not mad at that. Man, kudos for that Chris Webber, though, because he did do production. He got a beat on one of Nas' albums.
Yeah,
so
on that Lost Tapes.
Yeah, which album is it?
Lost Tapes or either the nigga.
Or Hip Hop is Dead.
Oh, Hip Hop is Dead.
Or
Is it? Okay.
One of them. It's around that same time, right through that gap.
Yeah.
Man, my list is similar to yours. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Thought about that. Nigga.
I'm going to go first then because I got some different people.
Okay.
I'm going to go, Damian Lillard. Let's put some respect on his name.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't. I'm not going to do him any kind of way. Dame Dollar puts together, again, this is the Quavo effect. But he puts together good enough hip hop music.
That's good.
And then I'm going to go Iman Shumpert, the Knicks tape. Let's not forget that.
The Knicks tape.
Absolutely.
That's
not
funny.
the mixtape, but the Knicks tape. He was cooking. Lou Williams. Lou Will can rap, actually. He never put out a full project.
I've heard some bars.
He can actually rap. Then I'm going to go AI, a.k.a. Jules. Don't do AI. I need a flashy rapper.
A.K.A. Jules.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to go Jules. Hey, that's the answer right there. We're going to go him. And then, of course, Diesel. I'm Grammy nominated. No one will ever be nominated for a Grammy for music that plays basketball. It'll never happen ever again. I'm calling it now. So we got to give Shaq his props. Plus, his biological didn't bother, so he raps with a chip on his shoulder. Shout out to Big Diesel. That is my 5, and it's fire.
That's decent. Oh, you guys took all my team. I thought the Steven Jackson pick was going to be out of the box. It wasn't.
Stack Jack.
So I start my team. He's the captain of my team for his rap, any type of smoke. Steven Jackson / could have been a rapper, just with his persona and how he brings it to the court. So Steven Jackson's first. Dame Lillard, unanimous decision. Definitely the best rapper that ever played basketball.
True.
Or the best basketball player that ever rapped. Whichever way you want to put it. Iman Shumpert. I'm a big fan of Iman Shumpert. I feel like if he got Tiana Taylor in this corner too, the music gonna be good. Either she's gonna beat him up. So
that's a nice little sneak.
So that definitely has to be there. And then I got AI and I got C-Web. C-Web for the production. I like C-Web vibe. It was like the cigar music or some shit like that.
Yeah, Blunt Ashes, I think is what it was called.
Something like that. I can't remember the name of it specifically. And then AI, because AI is a rapper. He's like he had the legend, the lure, the jail stint. Yeah, I'm sure AI got out of jail, hit the court, dropped 40, and then went to the booth. I'm sure that happened somewhere. So 100% here for that.
No doubt. Yeah. Well, that's a great squad. Was there anybody else you guys were close to considering that neither of us mentioned?
I almost put Lonzo on there.
Really?
Almost.
You like his stuff that much? I don't think there's any.
It's okay. First of all, everybody on this list shit is okay. Let's be clear. But at
Right,
least he
right.
put out a full body of work. AI did not.
What about your boy?
Who?
Drummond.
I see you dry. Well, I almost forgot. You know what? Sorry, Amon Shumpert.
Oh, man.
No more Knicks tape shit. Andre Drummond. Dre Drummond is on my
Dre
list
Drummond.
now. Yes.
Is it DD?
His project wasn't
I
that
don't
bad.
Thank you.
believe
The
it.
one
Y'all
he
are
dropped,
saying this
yeah.
as Pistons fans, and that's it.
Wasn't that bad.
That's funny.
It wasn't that
So
bad.
it's on par with everybody else shit. Kobe shit. It's on par with all that shit.
It's very low bar, very low bar.
He crawled over that bar, but he got over it.
it. It was low, but he got there.
Yeah. Now that's about
I ain't
does it,
mad
man,
at that.
for our squads. Though I think everybody else is honorable
Yeah, I ain't
mention
have
at
no
best.
extras, man. If I were doing an extra, it would be Charles Oakley, just because I feel like that he could rap if he wanted to, and if he couldn't, he'd beat whoever up told him they wouldn't. He couldn't rap, so I go with Oak.
I don't know. Did Charles Oakley ever rap? I feel like he's the type of dude that didn't like
Yeah,
rap.
you're
Yeah,
right.
he
You're
Suge
absolutely
Knight.
right. He 100% Suge Knight, and he probably just like Jordan is like, nah, I don't listen to rap. Who are you again?
Right.
All right, I'm with it though. All right, so everyone, let us know in the description. Once again, I will post all of the socials, the Twitters, the Instagrams, whatever, and you can let us know who had the best squads, who had the best rapper squad, who had the best hooping squad. Let us know. Thank you guys for coming on the
Yes, sir.
podcast. Animal Brown, Spike Lou. This was really great that I finally got to collab with both of you guys at the same time. This is the first time I've ever been able to do that. And, as you guys know, I'm big fans of both of you guys. And shout out M Extra, too, and the rest of the On Deck team that I met in Atlanta.
Absolutely.
You guys are doing great work, man. Really keep up what you're doing. And I appreciate everything you've done to help me on the journey that I've been on so
Thank
far.
you, sir. We appreciate you, and congratulations on 200.
Absolutely, man. Here's the 200 more.
Thank you, man. I'll get you guys on the next crossover.
Gotcha.
There it is.
All right, everyone, hello and welcome back for another segment of the 200th episode of Strictly Hip Hop and Strictly Hoop Talk, the first crossover in the history of my podcast. And joining me is a guy that's been there from the jump. You know him as one half of the Hip Hop Review podcast. I almost said Vontae. My bad, Lil Gill. Lil Gill, how you doing, man?
Man, feel good, feel blessed. Another day to talk hip hop with the homie Chris Platte. Hey,
Hell
I'm
yeah.
happy to be here. And I just want to say, man, 200 episode for you. Congratulations, bro. I've been watching your journey. It's kind of great to see you work through this. I started my hip hop review podcast maybe a year before you did. And I think I'm only like on 70 episodes. So that just speaks to like your work ethic. And you really be out here in these streets killing this podcast game. So just want to big up you before we start anything.
Man, hold on. If we're giving the flowers now, you're gonna get them too. Because honestly, you guys were the first hip hop podcast that I ever found. Truthfully, you guys were the hip hop podcast that I found and I first started listening to. Back when there really wasn't many, like I didn't know yet about Juan Epstein. I found out shortly after you about Peter Rosenberg's podcast and some other podcasts. But you guys were the first podcast because I searched the word hip hop and you guys were the first ones that came up. Or I think I might search hip hop review or something along those lines. And then you guys came up. I checked you, and then we DM'd and we started working together. And now you're, years later, you're now one of the most frequent guests on the podcast, man. So. Thank you for all that you do, man. I greatly do appreciate it.
Hey, word up. That's enough flowers. Let's dive into this hip hop. And what you got on the table today, Platte?
Okay, so for this segment, this is going to be fun. This is going to be probably my most anticipated segment of the podcast because of the fact we are talking championships versus classics. Now, those of you that are in the hip hop talk might be understanding this, and those of you that are outside that just watch basketball and consume basketball, you might not be up on this. So basically the biggest talks in hip hop are classic albums, who's got how many classics and all that, and you'll kind of often sometimes hear them referred to as championships, as getting a ring. So we're going to go through all of the artists and we're going to bring out and kind of state just how many rings each artist has, and if we disagree we'll jump into it. And if not, we might have even some surprise rings to give out. So we're gonna finally get to the bottom of this, Will Gill. We're gonna settle the debate once and for all. who has the most rings in hip hop. So let's start with the three modern artists. So let's start with Kendrick, Cole, and Drake. Now, I have 4 for Kendrick. Maybe you could say 3.5 if you want to, because Section 80 is kind of weird in that it's like a mixtape and an album at the same time. J. Cole, I had 1, 2014 Forest Hills Drive, and Drake, I had 1, So Far Gone. How do you feel about those 3?
All right, I just want to start off with the Kendrick first, and I just want to say, for me, man, Kendrick got 2 championships with 4 finals appearances.
Okay.
To me, his classics are Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly. And then for me, Section 80, I'm with you with the kind of a mixtape, kind of not his first album, but kind of is. And so that one, just off the rip, I don't think it's a classic, but just album full of great songs.
Yeah.
And Damn, for me, is full of bangers and bars, but not a classic. Is anything you got to say about that? I'm two classics only for Kendrick for me.
And I'm not really mad at that at all, because I could definitely get the pushback for Section 80 for sure. Damn, well, I think it's Kendrick's 3rd best album personally in my ranking. There are a lot of people that will make the argument that it is the number 1 album because he combined the messages of Pimp a Butterfly, the bangers, and the mainstream accessibility of Good Kid, and then had like that kind of rawness element to it that Section 80 had. So I could see why people feel that way, even though I disagree. I think that Good Kid, Mad City, and To Pimp a Butterfly were done better than Damn. But I think Damn is absolutely a classic, because I think when we look back at it, it had everything a classic should have. It had the standout records. It had just the absolute like conceptual, the conceptual value that a lot of people have. And then also you think about it, it has no skips, and that to me is the most valuable. You could probably argue there's one or 2 skips on there if you're not someone who prefers Pride or Ya. But I think outside of those 2 records, I mean, I don't really think there's even arguably a skip on that album. So I just don't see. I see the case against it, but I don't think it's a good one.
All right, well, like I said, bars and bangers. Agree to disagree on Damn. Great album. I'll give it a finals appearance. No championship.
Okay, lost it. What it losing? 5, 6, 7.
Nah, that's a solid 7 right there. 7-game series, a tough one, but couldn't finish it out. It happens.
Okay,
And then I'll go with
right.
Cole. I'll give Cole 1 classic, and that's the Forest Hill Drive album is his 1 classic. And then I'll give a finals appearance for Sideline Story, the debut album. I just like punch rap J. Cole. And I think on that album was kind of like one of the last few times where he was just trying to hit us over the head with just crazy metaphors and stuff like that. So for album Cole, I kind of missed that. And I think that album is slept on a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even give it a finals appearance personally. That's just me. Like, I think it's a great album, but I think to be put in the finals arena, to me, the finals appearance, I should say, is to me that those are the albums that kind of deserve to be in the arena of classic. Like, you can really make the case, and I'm not too sure you can totally make the case. But yeah, 2014 Forest Hills Drive. I know there's people that I respect that won't put this as a classic, but to me, it's how is it not a classic? It's one of the most talked about albums of this decade, and it had such an impact on even if it's just this generation of hip hop. It had such a strong impact on that generation alone that it kind of deserves a classic stamp, even if it didn't reach the older heads, and it might not reach the next generation, but it still was so significant on this level.
Word. And just to throw a couple more roads as Forest Hill drives away, I think that's the album where like Cole really found his stride as an artist and like what he wanted to do, and he found his little perfect blend of putting the medicine with the candy.
Yep.
On Forest Hill Drive, he kind of pulled it all together perfectly on that one. So for sure, classic to me.
Okay, what do you have with Drake?
I got Drake. Are we counting So Far Gone?
Yeah, I count So Far Gone I'm counting it as a ring, just because that's my only ring I have for him actually.
Oh wow, okay. Then I'm going 2 rings for Drake. So Far Gone and Take Care to me is also a classic. Just the range of emotion and vibes throughout that album. It's an hour and a half, but the whole thing bumps. So
Yeah. Okay. Here's my thing with Take Care, and here is what I think is in this, because this is, to me, this is the finals appearance, if you will. Like, this is the finals lost in 6 or 7. This is a really close to classic to me, because it does have the standouts. It has the moments. It has the generational impact that you would that a classic album would garner. But to me, what makes it fall short is that there's just too many skips on that album, man. Like, they're really, like, I can't tell you the last time I chose to listen to that whole album front to back. All these other albums that we're naming, or that at least I have as classics, are projects that I can listen to front to back out of enjoyment, not out of a force or a necessity. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I disagree. I don't skip much on that album, so I don't know,
Really?
bro. And then for me, and then the heights of Take Care, it almost makes up for if I do skip a song. Like, the album is just full of anthems. Like, for every
It is.
situation, there's club anthem, like with the motto, post club creep anthem with Marvin's Room. Like, what else do you want, bro? Take Care has it all. So I'm sticking to it, and I guess the fans could decide from here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably definitely going to be in the minority for that. I already know there's a few people that are going to be in my mentions right as it dropped, because I've had people in my Twitter mentions before because of it. So I know it's coming, but I'm just willing to die on the hill at this point that it's not a classic. Maybe I'll change my mind in a few years. But let's jump to some other artists. Let's jump to kind of like the other big name legends. I want to go through them. So this is the one. This first one, I think, or these first two, because we'll do them together. The first two, I think, we will probably have a little bit of disagreement, but maybe not too much. And those are Jay-Z and Kanye. I got 5 for each of them, and
Oh,
I'll list the 5. So for the 5, I got the first 5 except Late Registration, and I'm including Watch the Throne. So substitute out Late Registration.
Okay.
So I got College Dropout, Graduation, 808s, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and Watch the Throne. For Jay, I have Reasonable Doubt, Black Album, 444, Blueprint, and Watch the Throne. So what are you feeling on these two?
Yeah, okay. So right off the rip, throw out one of those championships, because Watch the Throne is not a classic. So right off
You
the
don't
rip,
think so?
nah, fam. It's a cool album, but
Cool. It's two megastars at their peak coming together over amazing instrumentation, and there is not one bad record on there.
bro, half the time they was both rapping about opposite shit.
They were. they were.
Like,
You
that
can't-
shit didn't even blend well together.
You can't. Okay. That's a great point, but at the same time, I feel like both of those. I feel like both of those artists did what they were supposed to do on each record. I don't even. Can you point like more than 2 bad verses on that album? I don't even know if I can think of one off the top of my head.
I definitely can't think of one off the top of my head, but so you got me on that one, but no classic. But let me dive into some more of the J stuff that you have brought up. I'm with you. Reasonable Doubt, certified classic. Anybody tell you different, you have the free range to smack that man. A Blueprint classic, again, free range to smack somebody that tells you any different. Black Album classic, and then that's kind of where I'm ending it there. For me, 444, great album. I appreciate everything it did. Not a classic to me, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. How you feel?
What is it with that? With 444, is it that it's too soon? Is it what is it about it?
1 is soon, 2 is short, 3 the instrumentals could have been better.
Illmatic's 40 minutes, bro.
That's a special case though.
Okay.
For me, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a classic to me. It really just goes down to that. Great album. I love it. But for me to say classic right now, that's a no for me, dog. And then with Kanye, I will go College Dropout's a classic. This one I'm going to switch up with you. Late Registration is a classic. And I'm going to say this, Platte, and I don't want no heat. if you get enough drinks in me, I might tell you that late registration is better than college dropout.
You know, you're not the first person to say that to me, and while I am going to disagree with that, I see the case because the skits are honestly, if not better, if not better, close to better on late registration. There's a lot of big records on there. Like the records that are on there are bigger than the records that are on College Dropout, which is really saying something. But I just think College Dropout just gives that same. It to me, they're going for the same thing. They're going for the same vibe. They're going for the same feeling. But College Dropout does that better.
Yeah. Like I'm sober right now, so I'll say yeah. But again, if I was tipsy poppy right now, I'll probably tell you late reg was better. But move on. And
Okay.
for me, the other Kanye only has 3 classics to me, and the other one is My Dark Twisted Fantasy.
You
And
don't have
that's-
808s?
I just don't like it. It's just a personal thing. I know people love that album, but for me, I just don't like the songs. That's it. There's about 3 songs on there I like, but the rest of the album, I'm kind of out. I don't think they're bad, but I'm definitely not bumping it.
I mean, dude, 808s is one that I have to heavily push you back on because I just think that impact of that album is way too tremendous to not be included.
Okay, if you're putting it there on Impact, then fine. But if we're just talking about, is this album a
Musically.
classic? Yeah, based on the songs that I'm listening to, outside of RoboCop,
Really? So you're saying that's the only song on there you like?
nah, I'm just shooting off the hip, Platte.
Okay. I
But I'm
you know I had
just
to
saying that
check
to
you.
make I'm just saying that for emphasis, really.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I don't. You have a good point in that maybe if you take away the impact, is it really a classic? I would probably actually go with your agreement that it's not if we weren't factoring in the impact of it and the influence of it. So I'm not too mad at that, Will Gill. Let me give you that olive branch.
All right, and then let's hold on to that argument about impact, and then I have an album that I want to bring up.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see if the argument impact still holds true.
Okay. Is that for later in the podcast? Or are we doing that right
a
now?
little
Okay.
later. A little later.
Okay, for sure. I'm not gonna argue the 444 with you because the reason is the same reason that I have Kanye 808s as it. It's the impact of it establishing, like Jay-Z kind of established contemporary adult rap, if you will. So I think that influence is there. So I'm not gonna get into it. It's just the same It's just the same discussion, different album. Let's jump to some other artists then. Let's jump to Pac. We'll do Pac right now. So Tupac, I have 3 for him. I have Me Against the World, All Eyes, and Machiavelli.
Yeah, I'm with you. I only have 2 classics for Pac, and it's Me Against the World, All Eyes on Me, and that the last one, the Seventh Day Theory, I'm out on. I keep trying to
Really?
listen to that album. I just don't really like the songs, so that's just where I'm at. I know a lot of people has told me that that's their favorite Pac album. I keep trying to give
Mine
it
too.
listens, but it's just not for me, dog. And so I'm gonna personally not say it's a classic.
Man, I think it's better. It's got to be better than All Eyes on Me. It has Outlaws less on it.
That's a fair point. That's a very fair point.
All right, let's do his counterpart then. Let's do Big and then we'll jump to Nas. Big, I got 2. Obviously, I think
Yeah.
both his albums are classics. I don't think we even need to talk about that. And then for Nas, I only have 1. Do you have more?
No, I only have 1 classic for Nas, but if somebody came up to me hyping up Stillmatic to my face, I would agree. But hopping out here, I wouldn't just straight up say Stillmatic's a classic, but if somebody want to tell me different, I definitely wouldn't argue you.
For me, I think it would be, I don't know which Nas album it'd be, but there's a couple that I would maybe consider the argument, but I don't think I'd let more than one of those slide. Honestly, I think to push it beyond to push that discussion of Nas having more than 2 classics, I think is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, and that's why we both show up here with one. And obviously, just in case, for somebody that doesn't know, the album we're talking about is Illmatic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess we should state that, because I had Spike Lee on my podcast for the bracket, and he had a very hot take on Illmatic. So he ranked it like, I think, Nas's 7th best album or some ridiculous shit.
That is a very hot take.
He's my friend. So if I'm wrong on the ranking, I could still throw him under the bus.
Hey, I love Lost Tape and Godson as well. But 7th, dog? Come on, man. You wild in these streets.
Yeah. All right, let's jump to Eminem.
Okay.
Eminem, I have 3, and I think that's pretty obvious. I don't think you're going to disagree, right? Slim Shady LP, Eminem Show, Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah, he started 3 for 3. That's for sure.
Yep. We won't talk about it after.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Who do we want to jump to next? Snoop, I think he only has 1, Doggy Style.
Right. To me, it's only Doggy Style. Snoop, to me, is not an album artist. He just makes great records, and his singles be bumping. And but album wise, Doggy Style is the only one that I constantly go back to for the full body of work.
Yeah, I'm with you. Wu-Tang, Tribe, I got and we'll do Outkast. We'll do those together. We'll get the groups out of the way. So for the groups, I have Wu-Tang with 1, Tribe with 2, Midnight Marauders and Low End Theory, and then Outkast, I have 3, Aquemini, ATLians, and The Love Below. Where do you have those 3 groups?
All right, for Outkast and Wu-Tang, I'm gonna gracefully bow out of this conversation because I just don't listen to those albums enough to say anything worthwhile. But for Tribe, I'm with you. 2 classics, Low End and Midnight Marauders. Those are forever ago. I got both on vinyl. I love just putting that album on and just letting it bump front to back. It's a vibe.
Hell yeah, man. Those Tribe albums, man. Like when I listened to those for the first time, those were some of the first like old albums. As I was going back and doing my research, those were some of the first albums that I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like,
for me as well. Those are the first albums I went back to. I grew up listening to hip hop my whole life. My dad's been listening to hip hop since I was born, but Tribe was one of the few younger past artists that my dad didn't listen to, so that was definitely my first back into time to listen. And man, that shit still bump today, almost 2020. And both those albums, if you haven't heard them, please go and listen.
All right. Sounds good. We'll do one more. I have one more I want to touch on for this section, and then we'll move to the quick section, and we'll go through quickly a few of the more modern artists. The other one I want to do before we get out of here is your boy Lil Wayne, Weezy F Baby, and the F's are phenomenal. How many classics does he have?
Shit, how many mixtapes do he have, Platte? Answer me that.
Like 64.
No, but if you ask me, man, Wayne is my favorite rapper. So hey, and to me, Carter 1, Carter 2, Carter 3, all classics. Every song on those 3 albums are all good to me. So that's where I'm at.
Okay. What about the mixtapes? You put because I have 2 mixtapes on here for my classics. I have them at 4.
Okay, which one did you put on there? Dedication 2?
Dedication 2 and the Drought 3.
Yeah, those are the ones that if we were doing mixtapes, those are the ones that I'll throw on there too. So yeah. I'll bump my total up to 5.
I just don't have the Carter 1. I just don't have the Carter 1. That's the only one.
Yeah, that's fair. But he was definitely rapping his ass off over Manny Fresh beats, so
hell yeah.
Show it some respect. Finals at least.
Shout out Lil Wayne, bro. And we got to give him like another 3 rings alone for the fact that for all those features. Like that run he had was absolutely insane, man. This guy Lil Wayne is like the Robert or the Bill Russell of rings, honestly, if you think about it. Let's jump to some kind of question marks of the new era, because I want to get the people that are listening that are kind of fans of some of the artists that are contemporary and current, even though Wayne and all these other artists are kind of semi-active. Let's get to the ones that are of this generation. So, let's start with Schoolboy Q. Does he have a classic?
That would be a no.
I'm with you. Oxymoron's the closest, even though I think Blank Face is the best. Oxymoron had the big popularity with it that I think kind of pushes it slightly over in the classic discussion. What about Big Sean?
That as well would be a no.
Yeah, I'm with you. Big Sean's my guy, and I'm really hoping this next one's a classic. But yeah, I think right now, as much as I love I Decided, I can't call it a classic, man. I can't stack it up with these other albums. Let's see here. Childish Gambino.
That one's hard to say.
It's really because the internet. It's what do you?
That's the one that you. For me, there's one album in the classic discussion that it sounds timeless to me, but it's not even a hip hop album. It's Awaken My Love. To me, that's the closest. That's the best body of work that he's put out. The closest thing to a classic to me personally, but I also understand that it's not really a hip hop album.
Yeah, so that's kind of why I left that one alone. Because I'm not sure if it's a classic album. I didn't really put too much thought into it, even though I've listened to it a couple times. I don't know if it necessarily has that classic level to it. So to me, I would say he doesn't have any, but because the internet is his closest.
Yeah. And I just to throw it out there, his mixtape Black Faces, I think it's his best body of work as a rapper.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's jump to we'll do Tyler the Creator. How many classes I know you love Tyler the Creator, so how many classes does he have?
Right now he has 0, but he has 2 potentials. I think Flower Boy is going to age well, and then maybe in 10, 15 years from now, might be in the classic discussion. We just got to give it some time. And Igor, man, that shit is fucking amazing. I wouldn't be surprised if years go by and we kind of look back and it's like, oh, man, that Igor is probably not as appreciated enough for what it was doing. Like, nothing else sounds like that. He's really on his own shit. And both those albums are phenomenal to me. So somebody tells me that those 2 are classics, I wouldn't disagree, but I wouldn't say they're a classic right now.
I said he has one. I said he has one most likely classic, and that's Flower Boy. I'm with you. Igor, I gotta wait and see more. I will say about Igor, the thing is that it's not personally my thing, but I could say of the thousands of albums that I've listened to in my life, I have never heard an album like that, and that to me is something that's very, very important when discussing an album and kind of ranking it. So I'm not even going to be mad if somebody argues it's a classic, even if it's not necessarily for me. Right. Let's see here. DJ Khaled don't have a classic, right?
No,
he has records, but not an album.
Yes, just like the Snoop thing, creates great records. Albums, not so much. But Major Keys, probably the best body of work he's put out. But that ain't no classic.
No, not at all. Meek Mill and A$AP Rocky.
Are we talking mixtapes?
We are.
I would say Rocky's first mixtape. Blanking on the name.
Is it the Long Live with fucking problems, or are you talking about the one with
his first mixtape
with bass and all that?
Yeah.
Oh, I mix up the names all the time.
Hold on, let me pull it up.
But yeah, I don't have any for Rocky personally. I think he has some close. I think he's close with Long Live, the one with fucking problems. I think that's a close, but I'm not ready to give it that. And Meek Mill, I also have 0 for. I think he has some great bodies of work, but I don't think he has a classic.
Okay, and then just to bring it back a little bit, I would say A$AP's Live Love A$AP, his first mixtape that has records like Bass, What's Up, Purple Swag, Get Lit, Houston Old Head. To me, that's his best body of work, and I think that mixtape is a certified classic.
I don't know, man. I just can't do it with that record. I can't do it. I don't. With me, classic albums are stuff that I return to, and I don't think
I return to that album all the time, and I know a lot of other people return to that mixtape all the time. And for me, we could also talk about the impact of that album. That album to me was one of the projects that kind of move forward this idea of music not having boundaries. Like, it was a little weird hearing a New York rapper from Harlem rapping over Houston style beats, and that was something that I had to get over. But super dope, and that album still bumps. And I'll give Meek Mill's Dream Chasers 2 a classic stamp too, which is the mixtape.
Yeah, I know. I just with the Dream Chasers thing is like, I think those have great moments. I think Meek has a lot of great moments throughout his career, honestly. And this is someone who used to not be a fan of him. I think he has great moments throughout his career, but I don't think he consistently holds it, and I don't think he puts together a project that consistently wants me to, or keeps me around. So I'm gonna say no with him. We'll do one last one, and then I'll throw it to you in case there's anyone you want to circle back to, and that's
Okay.
Young Thug.
Young Thug, I would just say Barter 6 is a classic because there's just no skip on that album. Every song on there is good, and like we brought up earlier, just like how groundbreaking Young Thug's been as an artist, and that's kind of like his strongest body of work. Barter 6, I'll give it a classic stamp.
I'll give it the point. I'll give it the 0.5. I'll give it the Lost in 7. Honestly, like it to me, like it's just you got it. But the fact that it's a mixtape, and also the fact that I don't know. Yeah, fuck it. I'll do it. I'll give it to you. Yeah, that's a classic. That's a classic.
There we go, Platte. Come on, man. And while I got you hyped up on this little Young Thug wave, let me ask you this, Platte, because I got some heat. I got a hot take. It's not that hot, because if you in the know, you know. Playboy Cardi's Die Lit is a classic. What do you think?
Okay. Now, I wish I would have known that you were gonna say that sooner, because if I did, I would have actually listened to that album, because I listened to maybe like a couple records when it first came out, and then I didn't like it, and then I never returned to it. But it is the weirdest album I've ever not been informed of in my life, because I see on Twitter, and this is pretty frequently too, I see people that I respect say it's a classic, everybody's tripping. Then I hear people that I also respect say it is the worst album I've ever heard in my life. Like, I've never seen anybody say, yeah, Die Lit is okay.
Right.
So there's got to be something polarizing about it, and I don't know because I haven't listened to it, but it's been like on my shit for like a year or 2 years now, where like, okay, I really got to listen to this because it is so divisive and so controversial. So I'm not going to fight you on that. We'll have to table this back when we do another edition of this, because there's going to be some more artists we're going to get through eventually. But for now, the surprise one that I have, and this is an album that I will defend, is Isaiah Rashad's Sun's Tirade. That to me is a classic. I absolutely love that album. It has no skips to me. It's just consistently dope all the way through. I love the instrumentation, the production. I think there's artists that sound like that, but I don't think there's artists that do it consistently throughout an album. So I think it's unique enough of an album.
I like the album. I definitely would give it the classic stamp, but I know you, so I know you love that album, so I feel it. And hey, just to scale back real quick to the Playboi Carti.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my experience with that album?
Yes, let's hear it.
So, when I first heard that album, I fucking hated it too, bro. And
Really?
Even on the Hip Hop Review podcast, if you go search that review I did on there, I think I gave the album a D. Because I just did not understand. Like, I was listening to it, I was like, what the fuck is this? But like as time went on, I kept hearing loose records. Like it'll pop up on shuffle. I kept gravitating towards the album. Then I started listening to the album more often, and it's just the vibe on there is so fresh. And if you're gonna go back and listen to it, and any Playboy Cardi hater out there, I just kind of want to explain how you're kind of supposed to hear the album, because I think people that really hate it, the way they're listening to it is all fucked up. You know how Jeezy had the best ad libs in the 2000s?
Yeah.
And then Kanye went ahead and chopped up those Jeezy ad libs and built Can't Tell Me Nothing around the energy of those ad libs.
Right.
You know how that happened? We all love that record.
Yeah.
That's kind of how you have to listen to this album. It takes what Can't Tell Me Nothing Kanye did on that record with the Jeezy ad libs and just kind of stretches out that concepts and builds on it, and what it lacks in lyrical content, it makes up way more in style, energy, and uniqueness. And it's not a review, so I'll close it at that. Playboy Cardi Die Lit. Classic, man.
Oh. All right, man. I'm going to double back. You finally convinced me that I need to double back, because I've never heard somebody state the case that strongly and that interestingly, because that's a point I've never heard. I've either heard just, oh, it's really good, or, oh, it's really bad. So I'm going to double back and check it out, and I think that's a perfect way to end it. Let's end it on suspense. So thank you, Will Gill, for coming on this podcast, man. I got to salute you, because you've done a lot for me over the years, and you've been there as not only a podcaster but a friend. So I appreciate everything you do. 200 episodes would not be possible without you, sir. So thank you for coming on the podcast, man, and I really just greatly appreciate this moment.
Word up. Thank you for having me on, Platte. And, man, hopefully there's more growth for both of us, and we'll keep seeing each other on each other's pod.
Oh, there definitely will be. There definitely will be. And in the meantime, listeners of this podcast, or viewers, now it's on YouTube, gotta do that plug, check it out. Let us know. Do you think that there's some classics that we missed? Who are some artists that you want us to discuss next time on the next crossover? Or, you know, what is that one album that you're absolutely fighting for, that you'll die on a hill as a classic? I want to know your thoughts at Real Chris Platte on all of the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you want. Message me there and let me know. Do you think I'm whack? Do you think I missed something? Do you think Playboy Cardi Die Lit is the coldest album ever, or it's just hot garbage? Let me know.
Straight fire. All right, Platte. Thanks for having me on, homie.
No problem, man. I'll catch you on the next part.
Word up.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the final segment of the 200th episode of Strictly Hip Hop and Strictly Hoop Talk, the first ever crossover. Of course, I'm your host, Chris Platte. Thank you for tuning in so far. I've really enjoyed everything that has happened. All three segments have been great. And now we're here to the final segment, which is the fan Q&A. But before we get to that, please, if you have not already, subscribe to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. And also subscribe to the YouTube channel, Chris Platte. So let's get into it. This is the fan Q&A segment. So I gave the listeners a chance to submit questions that they want me to answer on hip-hop, basketball, or podcasting. I got some absolutely phenomenal questions, so I'm ready to dive into those. So FYI, if you see me look over, it's because I have notes on my laptop, because I wanted to make sure I was prepared to speak about everything. I didn't want to come off the top on a lot of these. Some of these were so interesting that I wanted to write some stuff down. So the first question, and it's 3 questions, from my guy Colin Haggerty. Shout out MSU, shout out Detroit Pistons. He's working for Detroit Pistons. He is living the dream I want to live, my man. So shout out to you. He's got 3 questions, and I'm going to answer all of them because they're all great. So number 1, realistic Pistons expectations. Number 2, bounce back artist in the year 2020. And number 3, Shaq and Kobe beef. So let's get to it. Let's start with the Pistons, because not only are Pistons at the center of my heart, but also it was the first question. So the Pistons, there's reason to be optimistic and pessimistic. So I'll let you decide. I'll make the case for both. So the case for pessimistic is Blake might not be as good, or even if he is as good, he won't be as durable as he was last year. Playing 75 games, which is the first time he's done that in a long time. Drummond's free agency could loom. Drummond has the ability to be a free agent, And, Drummond, I don't think anyone really knows what Drummond wants to do at this point, nor do the Pistons fans know if they want to sign him to another contract or not, some of them, that I should say. So Drummond's been a very divisive player in his time in Detroit. Some people have loved him, some people have hated him, some people have thought there's been some ups and downs. But overall, he's worth having rather than just losing for nothing. So it'll be really interesting to see, if the Pistons get off to a slow start, maybe they start to entertain trading Drummond, or maybe Drummond demands a trade himself, or Drummond even just announces, hey, I'm leaving, so, trade me if you want, or keep me and ride out this year. And also, lastly, the East did get better. Obviously, the Nets got better, and there are some teams around the East that should be better than they were last year. Atlanta should take a step forward. Chicago should take a step forward. Orlando, I don't know if they'll take a step forward or backwards. They might take a step forward. Who knows? But either way, the East is a little bit better than it was coming into last year. Or coming into this year, it was a little bit better than it was coming into last year. So those are the reasons to be pessimistic. Now, let me give you the reasons to be optimistic, and I am on the optimistic side, not just because that's who I am as a person, but also because it is my Pistons, and I do think there's some good evidence here. So I think we can expect a good amount of internal growth from guys like Luke Kennard, guys like Don Maker. Andre Drummond should be able to take another step in his game. I definitely think he has the ability to. He is still relatively young. Like people forget how young he is. The dude is, I believe, 26 now. So he's still a young player. He's still, entering his prime or in his prime. So he's still got the ability to go up another level, I think. And, not to mention, some of the guys, Sekou Demboya, like maybe he turns out to be something right away. I don't see him as being a right away impact player, but I think you can expect internal growth from Reggie Jackson too. Like, I think Reggie Jackson is finally healthy for the first time, and I've not been a big fan of Reggie Jackson, so please don't put me in that camp. But at the end of the day, if we got the Reggie Jackson that we got for the last 3 months of the season for a whole season, this is a better Pistons team. So I think that's a good reason to expect internal growth. And another thing that the Pistons did that I liked is they made some small upgrades. Now, granted, they were small upgrades, but I think when you're a team like the Pistons on the margin and you're in that fringe that can either go one way or the other, one way is higher in the playoffs, the other is out of the playoffs, I think they made the right moves. Derrick Rose is an absolute upgrade over Ish Smith, and that hurts my heart to say because I love Ish Smith, but he is an upgrade. And to turn John Lure's just existing body into Tony Snell is an absolute upgrade for me and an absolute win for me. So I'm very, very happy that Detroit did those moves. And I think overall, when you put it all together, the Pistons should be a little bit better, if not the same. Also we are kind of underestimating the power of Dwayne Casey's second year in Detroit as opposed to his first year. The roster fits better, and the players on the roster kind of have a greater understanding of their roles and of the system itself. So I think there's reason to be optimistic on the Pistons. So my guess would be they finish probably like 7th in the East, maybe 6th, but there's also is a possibility they could finish 9th in the East. All right, so the next question, bounce back artist for the year in 2020. So this is interesting because I don't think this year has had a lot of disappointments. It's had some, and I'll name them. There's 2 that come to mind, but the rest of them haven't really disappointed. What's more so happened is that we haven't gotten the drops we were expected. We haven't gotten the Kanye yet. Now it's rumored that he's dropping September 27th, but who knows with Kanye and release dates, that could change at any moment. There's been mumblings of Kendrick coming, but Kendrick hasn't dropped anything, so we don't know. We're kind of just waiting. J. Cole's The Fall Off was supposed to happen, but hasn't happened yet. Drake's follow-up to Scorpion hasn't happened yet. So there's a lot of things that we were expecting to drop that didn't. And so therefore, I don't think it's fair to call them a bounce back in 2020 when they haven't released something in 2019. that wasn't up to par. Now, however, this does exclude two people, and these are the two people that I think are set up to have a bounce back year in 2020 if they want to. That's the big emphasis, if they want to. Number one, Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper obviously had the most disappointing album of the year. The Big Day was a huge disappointment. I reviewed it on the podcast, so go check it out if you haven't. My guy Kyle Nortz and I broke down the whole thing. He brought up some great stuff about how that album could have been better. And honestly, I wanted to like that album, like an album about love, about marriage, about all that stuff. That's interesting for hip hop. That's like a different space that hip hop doesn't normally jump into. So therefore, it was going to be something that, if executed right, would have really kind of stood out from all of the other music that was coming out. And so I'd like to have a great album about love if we ever get one of those. I'd love for hip hop to have one of those great, all-time great love albums. So I kind of wish Chance could almost redo this album, but I know obviously that's not what he's going to do. And I think it's very unlikely that he drops an album in 2020. But I do think that the poor reception this album has gotten, I do think will motivate him to continue making music. Now, if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've said that I thought Chance was retired. Like, I honestly thought after Coloring Book we weren't going to get anything, because it just seemed like he was going in that social activism route. And it seemed like, while he loves music, it seemed like that was where his heart really was. And I think we got evidence of that in this project, where this project feels like it was made in 2 months. It doesn't feel like it was made in 3 years since Coloring Book. Now, granted, we know it kind of was because he got married in the spring, and this album came out in the summer. So it was a couple-month window that he worked with. But anyways, I say all that to say that I think Chance the Rapper is set up to, if he wants to, come back in 2020 with a great project, a mixtape, an album, whatever you want to call it, Chance. Because Lord knows nobody has messed with the titles of projects more than Chance the Rapper. His debut album is really like his seventh. So that being said, Chance should come back in 2020. I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think that this poor reception will motivate him to want to come back, because if you look at all the greats in the history, that taking that L, like J. Cole's For Your Eyes Only, even though that's not a terrible album, that was not a Cole level album. And so when that happened, J. Cole came back with KOD and he ripped off all these features, and now look at J. Cole. Now look where he's at. And I have more on J. Cole for another question, so I won't get too much into it. But the other name I flirted with is DJ Khaled. Now, I think I'm a fan of DJ Khaled more than most hip-hop enthusiasts or hip-hop historians, if LeBron James is here. I think DJ Khaled has an awesome and unique place in hip-hop. He has the ability to make any collaboration work pretty much. And so I'd like for him to use that to his full power and create not just a bunch of pop records, but create some awesome hip-hop records. Like Major Key to me is one of my favorite albums of the last couple years, just because it had everything for every demographic of hip-hop. It had the Do You Mind record with Nicki Minaj and all that I didn't really care for. But I know that there's a huge section of hip-hop that really loves that album. Or really loves not that album, but that type of music. And then you had the Holy Key, which is Kendrick and Big Sean going bar for the people like me that love that. You had the Nas album Done for the people like me that love old school hip hop, modernized. You had the I Got the Keys with Future and Jay-Z, the crossover of two generations coming together to make one commercial anthem. So you had almost everything. You had the Work For It, and what was the other one that was a club record? So there's Work For It with Big Sean's, Metro Boomin, 2 Chainz, all that. But then there was the other one with 2 Chainz, Yo Gotti, and all that. What was that record called? I'm blanking on it right now, but it's right around the time the sequencing of Work For It. But anyways, I digress. I think that DJ Khaled has the ability to do a lot of these things, and if he meshes that blend well, then I think he creates an overall great album that hip hop can enjoy. I enjoy Khaled for the simple fact that he gives us collaborations that we will never see. Like, I don't think we would have gotten Jay-Z and Future on a record if it wasn't for DJ Khaled. So like it's stuff like that that's interesting to me and that's unique. So I love to see DJ Khaled continue to do that. And this album just was way too poppy for me. Let's jump to the final question he has. So this is the Shaq and Kobe beef. I think, obviously, for those of you that don't know, Shaq and Kobe kind of got into a little spat on Twitter. Kobe called Shaq lazy, but Shaq kind of actually didn't really retaliate. Shaq said, "Oh, I thought you were talking about Dwight," which was hilarious, by the way. But I do think Shaq is at a true understanding with Kobe. He understands who Kobe is. He understands Kobe's DNA. Kobe's always going to be petty, always going to be, upset at the fact that he could have gotten more rings than he actually did. And so Shaq, I think, understands that. Like, we all have that one person in our family that, at the end of the day is you're friends with, but you just kind of learn to overlook all the petty stuff that they do. And, because you value the greater friendship that comes from it. And I think that's where Shaq's at with Kobe. And I don't really think that there's really anything else that goes into it. Because, in fact, Shaq has actually admitted, and so has coaches, trainers, all that. Everyone's talked about how Shaq in his LA years, he wasn't really that in shape. Now, granted, when it came time to play basketball, Shaq was ripping people's heads off and he was giving it his all. That wasn't the question with Shaq. The question was the stuff outside of basketball. Like, was he keeping his body in shape? Was he doing as many gym sessions as he should have? No. Was he eating as well as he should have? No. So Shaq's admitted to it himself. So to me, I don't see anything with it. I don't think there's any beef between Shaq and Kobe. I don't think they're best friends like the NBA wants us to think, because it's two all-time greats that had an ugly divorce. So the basketball world wants them to be best friends. I don't think they'll ever be best friends because of all of the stuff that happened between the two. But I think they are at a good understanding with each other and they're cool with each other. And I think that, they can go to the same social settings and hang out with each other and it not be awkward or tension or any of that. So thank you, Colin, for all of those questions. I really appreciate that. Let's get to the rest of these because I got a couple more that I really want to dive into. This question comes from Connor Ennis, my guy, at Connor Ennis on Twitter. You know him from this podcast if you've been listening for a while. He asked me for my top 3 groups and duos of all time. I'll make this one quick because I am actually doing a video on this. So I did this off the top of my head, and before I do that video, which will be in a couple months probably, I wanted to really kind of think about it. I really wanted to kind of get it out there, and then I'll refine it for that video. But off the top of my head, the 3 that came to mind, and I think will end up likely being the 3, their order might change, but this is probably the final 3 groups and duos of all time in rap. Number 1, I have NWA. Number 2, I have Outkast. Number 3, I have Tribe. The reason I have NWA at number 1 is because their impact is absolutely tremendous on hip-hop. They have one of my favorite albums between any group or duo in hip-hop history. Just the way they kind of brought West Coast gangster music to the forefront of mainstream America. Of course, there was people doing it before them, but they not only commercialized it to a point where it could reach the masses, but also kind of made such a incredible album that it really influenced all of the future rappers that came from LA for the next generation. You look at all of the great artists that came from LA, they all trace their roots back to NWA. That tree is just absolutely massive and undefeated. Ice Cube's writing is phenomenal. His rapping is just as great. Eazy-E shines like a star on every record. MC Ren is low-key slept on. He's very talented, and I like a lot of his verses on this album. Dr. Dre's production is impeccable. DJ Ella also helping with the production. I love the production of this album a lot. So that to me is number 1. Number 2 is Outkast because they reached this peak popularity that I don't think many groups did. and they did it while creating consistently entertaining albums. They have a bunch of albums. All of them are entertaining. They're eclectic. You don't know where they're going to go, but somehow they make all these different sounds come together and feel cohesive, even if they're not necessarily cohesive. And Andre 3000's impact on the next generation of rappers is extremely huge. So I just love Outkast. They have one of my favorite discographies of any group. That's why I have them number 2. And number 3, I have Tribe. And Tribe, the only reason Tribe is not number 2 is because Outkast has more albums that I enjoy, but Tribe has 3 amazing albums that I thoroughly enjoy all the way through. Low End Theory, Midnight Marauders, and their recent one, Thank You, We Got It. Thank You for Your Service, We Got It From Here. But Tribe just really created that jazzy like old school hip hop feel that really I thoroughly enjoy. That's the kind of hip hop that I enjoy. So I think their music's great. The notable left off is Wu-Tang Clan. I know a lot of people are gonna get mad, but honestly, as much as I love 36 Chambers, I don't listen to a lot of Wu-Tang collective albums. Like obviously all the stuff that they did solo, I like a lot of that stuff. But I'm talking just their collective music. I really only enjoy a couple of their albums, and mainly the only one that I will listen to front to back is 36 Chambers, whereas Tribe, Outkast, and NWA all have projects that I will listen to front to back regularly. So that's why I have Wu-Tang on the outside sitting in. Great question, Connor. This one is very interesting. This is my guy Adam. Adam is at flavors2493 on Twitter. Go give him a follow. His question is, do you think Sanctuary had a big impact on a generation of rap? And my answer is yes. So for those of you that don't know, the Sanctuary is something that Mac Miller is famous for. It's like kind of his recording spot, and he kind of made it like an open door policy. He really kind of let a lot of the younger artists, or maybe not necessarily younger, but his peers. He let a lot of his peers come through and record whatever they needed to. So I really enjoyed that about him. Some of his most notable artists that recorded there were obviously Mac, Vince Staples, SZA, Earl Sweatshirt, Kendrick, Schoolboy Q, Absol, Tyler the Creator, and they made projects like Watching Movies, Faces, Stolen Youth, These Days. Like, these are a lot of tremendous bodies of work. And granted, Kendrick wasn't making Good Kid, Mad City, or Damn there. Absol wasn't making, Do What Thou Wilt. Like Tyler wasn't making Flower Boy there. So they weren't making their most important bodies of work, but they were laying the foundation on the path, which put them on the path to grow and become the artists that they are now today. So I think absolutely yes, and I think it should be a hip-hop landmark. I think that when the Hip Hop Hall of Fame opens in Harlem, which I believe is scheduled to open in 2021, I think that once that happens, they should put something to do with the Sanctuary in the Red Room there, because I think its impact is great, and I think that's the most interesting thing of Mac Miller. Above his music, above everything else, he was a dude that stood for artists and creatives, and I really respect that from Mac. So thank you, Adam. That was a dope question. Chris Phillips, thoughts on the Jazz making the finals this year? It's not crazy at all to me, because the Jazz, let me make the case. The Jazz have the best rim protector in the NBA, Rudy Gobert, arguably one of the best rim protectors ever, probably like top 3-ish. I'd probably put him up there with Ben Wallace for sure, and I don't know who else I would put in that conversation other than him and Ben. That's how great of a rim protector he is. And Mitchell, coming off of Team USA, will be in great shape. And we've seen a lot of people from Team USA come back and then have one of the best years of their career, just because it gets them in shape. They're so much ahead of everyone else. And also just playing under Greg Popovich or just playing under the Team USA staff, because I won't relegate it to, I'll go back to the times before Greg Popovich coached it. It just really kind of puts you in a huge advantage, not only physically, but just mentally. Like, you're sharper, you're just focused, you're more locked in for the NBA season. So I think that will have a great impact, and that will, I don't know if Mitchell will go that next level that everybody thinks he can. Like, some people are even saying, like, could he go 06 Wade, like that young guy that just carries a team? I don't know if he can go to that level, but I think that Team USA gives him a better chance of reaching that level this season. The other thing is, I think Conley is healthy. He has at least one more great year. And I think he has a real shot at going up another level in the simple fact that this is the first time in 3 seasons that he can actually be energized and convince himself he's playing for a title contender. So I think that will be a huge upgrade for the Jazz. And then lastly, I think let's look at the standings, because I think Denver should be good, but I could see Utah beating them. Houston has a real chance of imploding with Harden and Russ. The Lakers and the Clippers both have injury concerns. Portland did everything right. They had everything happen right last year to get to the Western Conference Finals, and even if that were to happen again, which is highly unlikely, then the Jazz, I think, could still beat them. So I think there's a very real case that the Jazz could make it. Not only are they better than, I think, Denver, and I think they're better than Portland, but also, Houston imploding is a real thing. And even if they don't implode, like James Harden has been gassed the last however many playoffs you want to name. So James Harden getting to that level and getting fatigued and wanting to and just kind of just not having it in the tank, like I could see Utah beating him. I really could. And then obviously the Lakers and Clippers both have injury concerns. Kawhi, Paul George, neither of them are considered healthy at this point. I hope they are, but we got to be realistic about this. This isn't about me wishing injury. This isn't about me predicting injuries. This is about me saying there's a chance that could happen. And LeBron, I think he's going to be great this year. I think he's going to be healthy this year. But could last year have been the start of the breakdown of LeBron? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Anthony Davis, we all know he gets nicked and bruised every game. He misses at least 10 games a year. Over some just like some minor injuries. So I don't know. I see a real path for the Jazz making the finals. I don't think it's the most likely path, because I think all the things that I stated have to go right. I think Denver could beat Utah in a 7-game series. Like, I think that series would be a coin flip between those two teams right now. And they'd have to get a little bit lucky, and things would break right for the Lakers and Clippers to take themselves out, and Houston would have to be gassed, and Portland. Like, I don't think Portland can beat Utah, but you never know with how great Dame is, and if Dame can go up one more level, then who knows. So I don't think it's the most likely scenario, Chris, but I do think it's one that is extremely possible. All right. Let's jump to another question, and this is the final question of the segment. My guy, Jordan. So, at Real J Morandini, sorry. I'm struggling to read the writing there. So his question is a very fascinating one. It's a hip-hop one. What is the most interesting album down the stretch of 2019? So I have a couple answers. Number 1, Kanye. Number 2, Big Sean. Number 3, J. Cole. Number 4, Busta Rhymes. Let me break them all down. So number 1, Kanye. Obviously, we're all very intrigued to see what he does. If this album will be like, can he reach a level where of his first 5 albums? Like, I would really like to see if he can actually reach that level. Because while I like T-Lop, while I like Yeezus, while I like Ye, well, I like all 3 of those projects, those just aren't on the level of his first 5. So I would love to see if he could crack that tier, that top 5 tier once again, compared to his own body of work. So also the fact that it's a gospel album, by the way, like, man, sign me up for that. Like, I want a gospel album from Kanye so bad, and I know he's given us so much gospel music, so it's kind of redundant. It may come off even redundant in the music, but man, like, I love that uplifting, that soulful, that kind of church vibe that Kanye does so well. And I really, really think that he's going to come through with this one, and this one's going to be a good project. So I'm very, very intrigued for that. The other thing is Big Sean. Like, Big Sean, to me, is at a place where he can not he can kind of take it to another level. Like, he's got a lot of people rooting for him right now. He's gone away long enough to the point where people are starting to miss him. So there's kind of that mystique. Like, people are wanting to like this new Sean project rather than going into it just taking it as a Big Sean project. They're going to it expecting something great. And so if he delivers on that, which I think he will, that can kind of catapult him, because he's right now like the three big artists: Kendrick, Cole, Drake. I think Big Sean has a chance to really leap himself into that conversation. Now, this has to be a phenomenal. I'm talking, this has to be, if in order to do that, this has to be as good as Good Kid, Mad City, as good as 2014 Forest Hills Drive. It has to rival some of those contemporaries' best bodies of work for him to get into that conversation. So that is a very, very high expectation that I don't know if he will reach, but I do expect a great body of work, and I do expect an album that I will thoroughly enjoy and that will probably be somewhere high up on my year-end ranking when it's all said and done. But that being said, I think Big Sean is very interesting for that simple fact. And the same thing could kind of be said with J. Cole. Like, J. Cole's done the KOD, which was a good album. He's done this feature run that's been really, really dope. Like, him and Kendrick, like Kendrick's feature run from a couple of years ago, not this last year, but a couple of years ago, from I believe it was 2017 to 2018. Kendrick really, really did a great job on a lot of features, stole the show almost every time. Drake obviously has been consistently stealing the show on features for the last decade, but J. Cole having this great feature run, like, he's kind of, and shout out to Spike Lee, because he put what I was thinking in this. He put what I was thinking in the best way possible, in the best words possible, in that Drake kind of maxed out. Sorry, not Drake. J. Cole kind of maxed out his capability with these features. Like, at this point, if J. Cole kills another feature, like, yeah, it's great. Like, okay, cool. But he's kind of, like, he's proven that he is on a tear right now, that he is in the zone. All of that stuff is true. But it's kind of reached a ceiling, and the only thing that can break him through to be unanimously number one is if he comes through with a masterpiece album. Again, the same thing with Big Sean, like that same standard. If J. Cole puts out his best body of work, then I think, yeah, I think it's really time to give him the number one spot. Right now, I don't give it to him, just because I think the hardest thing to do as an artist is create beautiful and captivating full-length albums, and Kendrick has 3 of those that rival anything that Drake or J. Cole can bring to the table. So that's why I have Kendrick number one, even though it's been over 2 years since Kendrick dropped. So I understand people wanting to crown the next guy, but I think, either until Kendrick drops a dud or J. Cole drops something unbelievable and spectacular, I think Kendrick still has the number one spot to me. And I think that's why this J. Cole record can be so interesting. If the fall off, or whatever it's going to be called, will be as good as some of his best bodies of work, then yeah, I think J. Cole has a real chance of becoming the number one rapper currently in the game. But I think right now, I think he's just on that bubble. I think he's maxed out what he can do until that moment. Lastly, the Busta Rhymes album, and I'll make this quick. Busta Rhymes is an artist who I enjoy features from. I don't know if I'll enjoy a full Busta album, but I've just heard a lot of great things about it. It was supposed to drop in October of last year. It was actually supposed to drop in March, then it got pushed back to October. Now, I don't know what the hell is happening with it. There's no word on it. It might not ever come, honestly, because of how long Busta takes to do albums. And it's been, 7-8 years since his last album now at this point. So it's been a long, long time for Busta Rhymes. And I do think, though, that if we get this project, that it will be good, because I'm hearing Ninth Wonder says, yo, I don't have any production on this, but yo, this is the best album I've ever heard. Or he didn't say best album he ever heard. He said the best album of the year. Like, he was like, in 2018 was a great, great year for hip hop music. So for him to say that in October was like, damn, okay, like that stuck out to me, because he wasn't on the record, but he talked about how great it was and that it rivaled some of the best stuff that came out that year. So I'm thoroughly enjoyed. I'm thoroughly anticipating, I should say, that album. So that's where I'll leave it actually, because I don't want to dive too deep into it. I don't want to ramble about Busta Rhymes album that we might not ever get. So thank you, Jordan, for that question. Once again, at Real J Morandini. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right, because I know we've had several conversations, but for the life of me, I've never actually pronounced your last name. So I hope I'm getting it right. Correct me if I'm wrong. But thank you everyone for tuning in to the Q&A segment of the podcast. As always, leave a comment on the YouTube, comment on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or if you have me on social media, just tweet me at Real Chris Platte or Instagram at Real Chris Platte, same handle. DM me. Send me some stuff, because I love to do these Q&As. I love to engage with the listeners. I love to really just get my thoughts out there, and I love to make you involved with that process. I like to come up with content on my own, don't get me wrong, but I really, really enjoy when other people come to me with something that they're passionate about and that they want to hear, because at the end of the day, what this platform is for me to give to you, not for you guys to give to me. So think of it that way. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you really enjoyed the episode 200. I put a lot of work into this. This was recorded over a span of like a week and a half, multiple segments, a lot of editing, but we are here. We are at the finish line. So thank you everyone. Episode 200 has been it's been a hell of a ride. 1 million plays, 50 guests over the span of 6 years. It's been a lot of work, but I couldn't have done it without any of you guys. So I really, really appreciate each and every listener, each and every contributor to the podcast. No matter where we stand now, or no matter what happens, I am forever appreciative of everyone that's been involved in this journey in any way possible, even if it's just retweeting or sharing my content. I greatly appreciate that. So thank you everyone from the bottom of my heart, and I will see you with more stuff on the YouTube channel and the podcast. I'm going to get into some NBA stuff. I'm going to do some NBA previews because it's about that time. And for the YouTube channel, I'm working on some ideas that I'll probably tease on Instagram or social media a little bit later. So thank you everyone for all of the just kind words, memories, everything that you've provided over these last 6 years. And now it's time to go up another level. So thank you everyone. Have a good night.